Marcus Sullivan stood at the viewport of the Celestran Royal Palace, watching 3 moons cast their pale light across the crystalline landscape. After 6 months of interstellar negotiations, he still couldn't believe he was here, the first human ambassador to the Celestran Empire. A soft chime announced a visitor. Ambassador Sullivan, Queen Vena's melodic voice filled the chamber. "I trust you're finding your accommodations suitable." Marcus turned, bowing deeply. The Celestran queen was striking, tall and elegant, with iridescent skin that seemed to shimmer in the moonlight. "Your hospitality exceeds all expectations, Your Majesty. Please, join me for evening meal. There are matters we must discuss." The queen's tone carried an edge of urgency that piqued Marcus's diplomatic instincts. In the private dining chamber, Marcus found not only the queen but her 2 daughters, Princesses Lyra and Selene. Both possessed their mother's ethereal beauty, though in distinctly different ways. Lyra carried herself with regal poise, while Selene's eyes held the sharp curiosity of a scientist. "Ambassador," Queen Vena began after the servants withdrew, "you're aware our species faces a genetic crisis. Our population is declining due to increasing infertility." Marcus nodded. This had been a key point in the initial diplomatic briefings. "What you don't know is that human DNA holds the key to our survival. Specifically, your DNA." The Queen's gaze was intense. "Our scientists have confirmed compatibility. A union between you and my daughters could save our species." Marcus nearly choked on his wine. "Your Majesty, I'm not sure I understand." "You understand perfectly," Princess Lyra spoke for the first time, her voice cool and measured. "Our species needs genetic diversity. You've been carefully selected for this role." "The compatibility is remarkable," Princess Selene added, her scientific enthusiasm evident. "Your genetic structure could not only halt our decline but strengthen our bloodline." Marcus's mind raced. This went far beyond his diplomatic mandate. "This is unexpected. There would be significant political implications." "Indeed," Queen Vena agreed. "Which is why we've prepared a formal contract. You would be granted royal status, diplomatic immunity, and full protection under Celestran law." "And if I decline?" "Then our species faces extinction within 3 generations, Selene stated matter-of-factly. "And the trade agreements between our worlds would likely suffer." Marcus caught the subtle threat. A refusal could doom not only the Celestran species but the crucial technological exchanges Earth desperately needed. Before he could respond, Lord Darius burst into the chamber, his face twisted with rage. "Your Majesty, you cannot be serious. Mixing our royal bloodline with a human. Mind your tone, Lord Darius." Captain Rhea stepped from the shadows, her hand on her weapon. The head of royal security had appeared silently, a reminder that this conversation was highly protected. "The decision is made," Queen Vena's voice carried absolute authority. "Ambassador Sullivan, you have until tomorrow's moonrise to consider our offer." As Marcus left the dining chamber, his mind whirled with implications. This was more than a diplomatic assignment now, it was the future of an entire species. And somehow, he had become the key to their survival. He couldn't help noticing how Princess Lyra's eyes followed him, calculating and intense, while Princess Selene's gaze held genuine scientific fascination. Lord Darius's barely contained fury suggested political troubles ahead. Tomorrow's moonrise would change everything, not just for him, but for 2 civilizations. The weight of that responsibility settled heavily on his shoulders as he watched the 3 moons of Celestra continue their eternal dance across the alien sky. Marcus spent the night reviewing encrypted messages from Earth Command. Their response was clear: accept the proposal. The technological advantages were too valuable to refuse. Yet something about Lord Darius's reaction troubled him. He found Princess Lyra in the palace gardens, studying ancient texts. "Your presence disrupts centuries of tradition," she said without looking up. "But tradition hasn't saved us. You support this arrangement?" Marcus asked, settling beside her. I support survival. Her iridescent skin caught the morning light. Though I admit, you're not what I expected from a human diplomat. Their conversation was interrupted by Princess Celine's arrival. Ambassador, I need your help in the laboratory. We're analyzing the genetic compatibility markers. The laboratory was a marvel of crystalline technology. As Celine ran her tests, Marcus noticed security feeds showing Lord Darius in heated discussion with off-world traders. Something's wrong, Celine murmured, studying her readings. These patterns, they're too perfect. As if. An explosion rocked the palace. Alarms blared as Captain Ria's voice came over the comm, security breach in the lower levels. Protect the royal family. Marcus's diplomatic training included combat scenarios. He pulled both princesses behind a shielded console as armed figures burst into the lab. Their weapons were definitely not Celestran. The genetic samples, Celine whispered. They're after our research. Marcus caught a glimpse of Lord Darius among the intruders, confirming his suspicions. The advisor had sold them out to someone, but who? There's a secure passage through the crystal matrices, Lyra said quietly. Mother insisted we memorize all escape routes. They moved silently through the glowing crystal corridors, hearing weapons fire echo through the palace. Marcus's mind raced. This wasn't just about preventing a human Celestran alliance. The attackers wanted the genetic research itself. They emerged in Queen Vena's private chambers. The Queen stood calmly, Captain Ria at her side. It seems Lord Darius made his choice, Vena said grimly. He's working with the syndicate. The genetic syndicate? Celine gasped. The black market geneticists? They've been experimenting with cross-species breeding for years, Ria explained. Your compatibility with our people would make their work obsolete. Marcus understood now. They're not here to stop the alliance. They want to steal the research and eliminate the competition. A blast door sealed the chamber as Ria's security teams engaged the intruders. Queen Vena turned to Marcus. It seems your decision has been accelerated, Ambassador. We need more than just genetic compatibility now. We need Earth's military support. Marcus looked at the two princesses, Lyra's strategic mind already planning counterstrikes, Celine's scientific brilliance discovering crucial breakthroughs. This was bigger than a diplomatic marriage. It was about protecting two civilizations from those who would exploit them. The contract, he said. I accept. Queen Vena nodded as distant explosions shook the palace. Then let's ensure we survive long enough to make it official. Captain Ria, execute Protocol Omega. The chamber hummed with energy as hidden defenses activated. Outside, the battle for control of their genetic future raged on. Marcus caught Lyra and Celine exchanging glances. They were in this together now, for better or worse. The genetic syndicate had just made a serious mistake. They thought they were attacking a vulnerable royal family. Instead, they'd united two species in common cause. And Marcus Sullivan, diplomat turned royal consort, was ready to show them exactly how humanity handled threats to their allies. Protocol Omega transformed the palace into a fortress. Crystal walls shifted and realigned, sealing off sectors and trapping intruders. But Lord Darius knew the palace too well. He'd already downloaded the genetic research data. We need to recover that data, Celine said, fingers dancing across holographic controls. The syndicate could weaponize it. Marcus watched security feeds showing syndicate forces retreating to their ships. They're not just retreating. This was Phase 1. Agreed, Lyra moved to a strategic display. Darius will analyze the data, then return with a larger force. We need to strike first. Queen Vena's expression hardened. Captain Ria, prepare the royal fleet. Ambassador Sullivan, contact your superiors. We need Earth support immediately. The next hours were a blur of activity. Earth dispatched a rapid response fleet. The genetic contract was formally signed, making Marcus a member of the royal family and cementing the alliance. But the syndicate struck before reinforcements arrived. Their ships emerged from hyperspace, surrounding Celestra. Lord Darius's voice echoed through the palace communications. Surrender the princesses and the human. Their genetic material is now syndicate property. Resist, and we'll blockade your world until your species expires naturally. He's bluffing, Lyra analyzed. The syndicate can't maintain a long-term blockade. They don't need to, Celine pulled up population projections. Without genetic diversification, our people have less than a year before permanent reproductive collapse. Marcus studied the tactical displays. Your ships are faster but their weapons are stronger. We need a third option. The solution came from an unexpected source. During their genetic research, Celine had discovered something extraordinary about Marcus's DNA. It's not just compatible, she explained. It's adaptive. When combined with Celestran genetics, it creates something entirely new. A weapon? Queen Venna asked. Better. A shield. The combined DNA produces energy patterns similar to our crystal technology. We could theoretically extend the palace's defensive capabilities to protect the entire planet. Captain Rhea frowned. The power requirements would be enormous. Unless, Lyra's eyes lit up, we use the crystal mines. The entire planet is latticed with crystal networks. Marcus understood. You want to turn the whole planet into one giant protocol Omega. The next few hours were crucial. While the royal fleet engaged the syndicate in orbit, Marcus and the princesses descended into the ancient crystal mines. Celine configured the genetic resonance pattern while Lyra mapped the crystal networks. Lord Darius, monitoring their movements, led a strike team into the mines. Your genetic potential belongs to everyone, he shouted, weapons blazing. Not just the royal family. Our genetics belong to us, Marcus replied, activating the crystal network. The cavern filled with blinding light as millennia of crystalline structures awakened. The effect was instantaneous. A planetary shield materialized, crushing the syndicate fleet. Their weapons, designed to penetrate normal defenses, were useless against this hybrid of human and Celestran biology. But victory came with revelation. The activated crystals revealed ancient data, showing the Celestrans had faced genetic collapse before. Each time, they'd found compatible species, evolved, and grown stronger. We're not saving your species, Marcus realized, looking at Lyra and Celine. We're helping it evolve. This was never about preservation, it's about transformation. The implications hung in the air as the crystal networks pulsed with new life, heralding the next chapter in Celestran evolution, one that would bind their species with humanity forever. The aftermath of the crystal activation brought unexpected challenges. As the planetary shield hummed with hybrid energy, genetic changes rippled through the Celestran population. Children born after the activation showed signs of both species, iridescent skin with human resilience, crystalline intelligence with human adaptability. Marcus found Lyra in the royal archives, studying ancient evolution records. Each transformation changed us, she explained. But never this dramatically. The syndicate's ships are retreating, Captain Rhea reported. But we've detected unusual energy signatures. They're planning something. Celine burst into the chamber, her usual composure shaken. The genetic resonance is accelerating. It's affecting the crystal matrices themselves. Deep in the mines, the ancient crystals were changing, becoming organic technological hybrids. The planet itself was evolving. Queen Venna called an emergency council. Our world stands at a crossroads. This evolution cannot be stopped, only guided. The syndicate knows this, Marcus added. That's why they're desperate. They don't want the genetic samples anymore, they want the entire planet. Their fears proved correct. The Syndicate returned with planet-cracking weapons, designed to shatter Celestia's crystal core. But they hadn't counted on the evolved defenses. As the first weapon fired, the hybrid crystal network responded. The planetary shield didn't just block the attack, it absorbed it, grew stronger, adapted. The crystals, Celine breathed, watching her instruments. They're learning, just like living cells. Lyra's strategic mind saw the potential. We can do more than defend. We can show them why attacking us was a mistake. The counterattack was beautiful in its complexity. Crystal spires erupted from Celestia's surface, forming an array of organic technology that defied conventional physics. The Syndicate's weapons were turned against them, their ships encased in living crystal. Lord Darius, watching his allies fall, made one final, desperate attempt. He activated a quantum device designed to unravel genetic codes. But the new hybrid genetics proved more resilient than anyone expected. The device's energy merged with the crystal network, accelerating the planet's evolution. Celestian cities transformed, becoming living organisms of crystal and light. The barrier between technology and biology dissolved. Marcus stood with the princesses as their world changed around them. "Your people aren't just surviving," he said. "They're becoming something entirely new." "Not just our people," Lyra touched his hand, her skin shimmering with enhanced luminescence. "All of us." The genetic changes had affected Marcus too. His DNA had merged with Celestian patterns, making him a true bridge between species. Queen Venna surveyed her transformed world. The Syndicate sought to control evolution. Instead, they became part of it. The captured Syndicate ships were absorbed into Celestia's crystal matrix, their crews given a choice, adapt or leave. Most chose to stay, realizing they could be part of something greater than mere genetic manipulation. As the crisis subsided, the full implications became clear. Celestia wasn't just a planet anymore, it was becoming a nexus of evolutionary potential, a place where humanity and Celestians could guide their own destiny. The royal marriage contract, once a diplomatic necessity, had become something more profound, a symbol of species working together not just to survive, but to transcend their limitations. 1 year after the Syndicate's defeat, Celestia had become the center of a new interstellar civilization. The crystal organic cities pulsed with hybrid life, their spires reaching toward stars that no longer seemed so distant. Marcus stood with Lyra and Celine in the evolution chamber, watching their first children take form within crystalline matrices. The twins' DNA showed unprecedented stability, perfect fusion of both species. "The genetic readings are extraordinary," Celine monitored the displays. "They're not just hybrid, they're transcendent." "The first of a new dynasty," Lyra added, her strategic mind already considering the implications for their civilization's future. Queen Venna entered, accompanied by Captain Rhea and a delegation of former Syndicate scientists who'd chosen to join their society. "The children will need guidance," the Queen said. "They represent possibilities we've only begun to understand." The twins emerged from their crystal cocoons, their skin shifting between human and Celestian patterns, their eyes holding both species' wisdom. They were living proof that evolution wasn't about dominance, but synthesis. Earth had initially feared this transformation, worried about losing human identity. But as more humans came to Celestia, they discovered the changes enhanced rather than erased their humanity. Lord Darius's fate proved ironically fitting. The crystal network had absorbed him, transforming him into a living database of genetic knowledge. His consciousness survived, helping guide evolution while learning the error of his former beliefs. The planetary shield became a beacon, drawing peaceful species seeking to participate in this grand experiment. Each new addition brought fresh potential to the growing genetic tapestry. Marcus watched his children take their first steps on crystal floors that responded to their touch. "We didn't just save your species," he told his wives. "We created something entirely new." "Not created," Celine corrected, her scientific wisdom deeper now. "Discovered. This potential was always within us, waiting for the right catalyst. Lyra's strategic foresight had expanded with her evolution. The real question is, what do we become next? Queen Venna smiled at her grandchildren. Whatever we choose. That's the true gift of our transformation, the power to guide our own evolution. The crystal spires of Celestra reached ever higher, their organic technological hybrid nature a testament to what species could achieve together. The royal family had become guardians not just of a planet or a people, but of evolution itself. As the 3 moons rose over their transformed world, Marcus realized the original marriage contract had been prophetic in ways no one could have imagined. It wasn't just about saving a species, it was about showing the galaxy that the future belonged to those willing to evolve together. The children of 2 worlds would inherit not an empire of crystal and light, but an endless frontier of evolutionary potential. And that was a future worth protecting.